Have you ever wondered what would happen if one wrong click revealed the secrets of some of the most powerful people in America? Welcome to Operation Papertrail, a story that begins with a routine tax check and spirals into a high-stakes conspiracy that could shake the very foundation of our political system. It all started with a low-level IRS employee. Nothing fancy, just a data analyst tucked away in a quiet cubicle, buried beneath a sea of spreadsheets. Day in and day out, they reviewed tax returns, until one day, something didn't add up. They found irregularities, strange filings tied to high-profile U.S. senators, the kinds of politicians who appear on TV smiling during campaigns. But now, their returns were filled with shell companies, questionable write-offs, and huge donations with no paper trail. The deeper the IRS employee dug, the weirder things got. Every file opened a new door to something darker, like embezzlement, forged documents, and encrypted payment routes designed to avoid detection. At first, it looked like sloppy accounting, but soon, it looked like a cover-up. So here's the question we're exploring today. Could this random discovery expose a web of corruption connecting some of the nation's most powerful leaders? Or was it all part of a trap set in motion from the very beginning? This isn't just a story of numbers. It's about betrayal, fear, and the terrifying moment when someone realizes they've uncovered too much. In today's episode of Curell Case Files, we'll take you step by step through the IRS discovery that wasn't supposed to happen, the political pressure that followed, and the shocking twist when the whistleblower was accused of the very crimes they were trying to expose. Stay with us as we untangle a story of secrets, power, and the one analyst who tried to do the right thing, only to find themselves at the center of Operation Papertrail. It was supposed to be a normal day. Just another afternoon in the Internal Revenue Service's mid-level audit department. That's where Thomas Keller, an unassuming employee with a clean record and a quiet desk, reviewed electronic filings for red flags. Most days were full of boring receipts, donation lists, and minor corrections. But that day, he stumbled on a return that didn't belong. The filer was a high-ranking senator, the kind that makes speeches on TV and posts campaign selfies on social media. But the return, it had issues. Large donations to shell organizations, business write-offs that didn't exist, and payments to a consulting firm registered to a vacant lot. Thomas flagged it. Then, he found more. A second senator. Then a third. All with similar inconsistencies. Like they were following the same script. What started as one red flag was now a dozen. And Thomas wasn't just looking at tax errors, he was staring at patterns. Patterns that pointed to intentional fraud, and someone had gone to great lengths to hide it. Thomas did what any ethical employee would do. He started documenting everything. He saved copies, printed reports, highlighted anomalies, and then he double-checked filings from past years. That's when it hit him. This wasn't new. Some of these suspicious filings went back 5 years, maybe longer. They involved multiple PACs, political action committees, used to funnel money into causes and campaigns. But the paper trail showed donations going out to mysterious LLCs, then circling back as consulting fees. That's classic embezzlement laundering, only with more zeros. He also noticed how returns were edited from high-level IRS accounts. That meant someone inside was covering tracks. Just as Thomas prepared to notify the Inspector General's office, everything flipped. He logged in the next morning and got an error. His credentials were suspended. Security guards were waiting by his cubicle. Before he could grab his coffee mug, they escorted him out. Later that day, he got the notice. Thomas Keller was under investigation for embezzlement and unauthorized access of classified tax records. It was a setup. The exact documents he'd flagged? Gone. Replaced with falsified files showing him editing data he never touched. Deposits were found in an offshore account under his name. But Thomas didn't even have a passport. Through leaked communications and anonymous tips, a troubling picture began to form. Several senators were connected through a consulting firm operating out of D.C., a firm that had received millions from campaign operations but never filed proper documentation. The firm's accountant? Former IRS. The firm's legal counsel? A lobbyist with ties to every senator Thomas flagged. Emails sent through dummy accounts, often within minutes of Thomas accessing specific returns, as if someone had been watching in real time. Using a secure drive he had kept off the grid, he contacted a small group of investigative journalists and handed over his files he'd saved before his system access was revoked. The journalists published a story, The Auditor Who Knew Too Much. It made waves. Advocacy groups demanded the files be reviewed. Former IRS agents analyzed the data and confirmed that the flagged returns showed clear anomalies. Thomas's legal team requested an independent audit. At first, the request was denied. But after mounting pressure, an external forensic accounting team was called in. They discovered entire return histories wiped from internal archives, logs showing forced edits by admin-level IRS accounts, shell corporations tied to family members of senators. Among Thomas's files was one crucial document, a backup export of email headers from an internal IRS messaging system. Cybersecurity experts reviewed the headers. IP addresses led to private network locations tied to campaign headquarters, not tax enforcement. This document, nicknamed the Digital Smoking Gun, made its way to a congressional oversight committee. Even with all the evidence, no arrests were made, no hearings were called. The case was buried behind layers of bureaucracy. Thomas remains a civilian, his charges dropped but his career ruined, and the system, for now, has gone quiet again. So let's piece this all together. A low-level IRS employee doing his job stumbles upon something no one was meant to see: irregular tax returns tied to the nation's most powerful senators. Instead of being rewarded for catching fraud, he's accused of a crime he didn't commit. We followed the trail, from red flags in tax records to shell companies, consulting scams, and forged documents, and finally to a digital smoking gun that exposed how deeply politics and corruption can intertwine. Thomas Keller didn't just uncover shady finances. He stepped into the heart of a conspiracy designed to protect power at all costs. And that leads us back to the question we started with. Was he framed because he got too close to the truth, or was this all part of a deeper operation meant to send a warning to others? We may never know the full extent. Files remain sealed, names remain redacted, and the system, for now, has gone quiet again. But here, at Curell Case Files, we believe that silence is temporary, and the truth always finds a way back. Because for every paper trail buried, there's someone ready to dig it up. For every cover-up, there's a crack. And for every Thomas Keller, there might be another whistleblower just waiting for the moment to speak. If this story opened your eyes, don't just scroll by. Subscribe to Curell Case Files for more deep dives into corruption, conspiracy, and the brave souls who risk everything to expose the truth. Drop a comment. Do you think this was a setup, or did Thomas uncover something too dangerous to name? Because the truth, it's not just what's said, it's what they don't want you to see.